Good morning, everybody, and welcome. I am Tiffany with Voices for Independence, Fitness, and Activities, and I am here with an art project idea for you today. We are going to be making this tie-dye sunflower painting, and I'm going to show you in a few easy steps how you can recreate this project. So what you're going to need for this project today is a canvas. You can get at even your local Dollar Tree or dollar store. You need some acrylic paint or watercolors, and you'll need obviously a little bit of water, some paint brushes, and a black marker. So most importantly here is to choose your colors. We are going to be doing a tie-dye effect in the background of our flowers. So what we're going to do first is paint that. So you want to choose the colors that you want represented in your flower. I like the traditional rainbow colors of a tie-dye, so I am going to go with those colors. And you'll also need some black to do some accent work at the end of the painting. So to get started, it's a simple technique. We're going to take one of our brushes, and you want it to just lightly get a little bit of water on it, just lightly moistened. You don't want it to be too wet for this painting, because as you know in tie-dyes, you can see those brush strokes sometimes, or the blending of the colors, and we want to be able to recreate that effect on our canvas. So I'm going to start with my first color, and actually I found that even one of those brushes that you think is no good to use and the bristles are every which way, this is a perfect brush for this project. It'll give us those wispy little lines that we see in a traditional tie-dye on fabric. So I'm going to go with my first color. I'm going to test it out and see if my brush is wet enough. I might need to get a little more water on it. I like to dip it in water and then tap it on. I have a paper towel here to get some of the excess water and color off it, because in this painting, we do not want our color to run. It will lose the effect of the tie-dye as we're painting. So I'm going to start with a simple spiral design with my first color, and you can see I need a little bit more. I need to get my paintbrush a little more wet and get some more color on it. It's better to start with less water until you can see how much you need. Now I'm going to go around with my spiral effect. Now we're going to be adding our rainbow colors or our tie-dye colors to this. So we're going to start with our first color, and this will be the guideline for the rest of our painting. So get your spiral where you want it. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to come around, and if you want to, you can go all the way around, and if it goes off your page, that's okay. We're going to envision where it would go off the page and come back on. So I'm bringing my spiral up and around, and it's going to come up to the top of the page here as I circle past. I should move my water to the other side so it doesn't interfere with what you're seeing. Now I'm going to envision that I'm coming up, and then I'm going to bring it back down the other side, and it's going to go off my page over here as well. As I go back and forth with my paint, reloading my brush as I need it. Now that is the beginning portion of it. So this is our outline basically for the whole tie-dye effect. We're doing the spiral design. So now that we have our first line down, we are going to blend the color a little bit and make it look a little less perfect around the edges as in a true tie-dye. So I'm going to take that brush that has those bristles that are every which way and kind of pull the color to each side of my line. Just using a drier brush. I didn't re-wet this brush at all, and I'm just pulling my color, and it's going to add that nice effect that you would see on a fabric if you tie-dyed it. And we're going to go all the way around, making sure to pull the color. If you do feel that your paint has dried too much and your brush is dry, you can add a little bit of water, but wipe it off on a paper towel after you dip it in water, because you do not want this to be too wet. It will blend too smoothly and you won't get the same wispy, dry effect that you're looking for. All right, so there is my red. I'm going to go on and add another color. We're going to go, I said in the beginning, I'm going with my traditional rainbow color. So I'm going to go with orange next in my tie-dye. Now, if you have certain colors you want to match this to in a room, go ahead, choose different colors, and know how I did my initial spiral with one solid line, and then I did the brush strokes. Now that we have our baseline done, we can just go in and do the wispy line as we continue with our color. So I'm just going to go right next to my red and pull my orange. Again, my brush is minimally wet. It is more dry than wet because then I can get those nice brush lines that I'm looking for. So I'm going to take my orange all the way around. Get a little more on the brush. Again, my brush is still dry. Now again, you don't want it to be too dry. As you feel it's drying out too much, you can dip in a little bit of water and then wipe off any excess water on a paper towel before you continue or finish with your orange. I'm going to get a little bit more water, brush it off, grab some more color so I can pull the rest of this orange around. Again, I'm going to keep going because my orange would probably be on the inside of the page now. And we're going to go right down and pull it on top of the red. Now, excuse me. Now, these colors may look really similar as they are, red and orange, but as soon as I get the yellow on, it'll really start to pop with that tie-dye effect. And you'll notice it when you're doing your own at home, but here, it's a little more difficult to see the contrast. All right, so I rinse my brush off, and now I'm gonna get some of that yellow paint, and I'm going to do the same thing. So now I'm gonna pull my yellow. You wanna be careful not getting too much in the orange, pardon me, because you may start to pull too much of that color out, and you might get a little more orangey than you would like. So, pardon me, let me get a sip of water. So to counteract that, I had a dry spot in my throat. To counteract that, if you pull from the center down, you won't pull that orange paint as much. But if you like those colors to blend, pull from the orange and go out. So there's two ways to do it. It's just a preference. If you want that more vibrant yellow, you pull from the outside in towards the orange. Oops, I hit the orange too much there. If that happens, that's okay. Just rinse your brush off and grab a little more paint, go right over that, and then start pulling it back in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do one more color for you so you can get the idea here, and then I'll show you the next step. So we're just pulling our colors into the last one we put down. So let me do one more for you. I'm gonna pull the green on, and then I will show you the next step. So we have half of our tie-dye done. You're gonna go through all your colors or repeat the colors in whatever order you like. And then we're just gonna go and do the green next. Again, pulling that color in to get that wispy look that will represent that tie-dye look you get on fabric. So I'm gonna grab just a little more green, pull my green in. And there you go. All right, so my tie-dye is started, and now I'm gonna show you the next step. So you're gonna finish all that with all your colors going all around your paper until it is filled with your color. Here is one I did just before. So here is my tie-dye paint. It's all done and it's dry. You wanna make sure it dries before this next step. To do the next step, we are now gonna draw our sunflower on. So to do that, you're gonna wanna grab a Sharpie. You can do this with black paint, but I feel more comfortable using a Sharpie. I feel I can do my lines a lot better. I have a more steady hand when I'm drawing. So we're gonna start with a largish circle around the center of your picture. And then what we're gonna do is make a smaller one in the center. And it's good to have a nice, you can also use a paint pen. Those are wonderful. I don't happen to have one here, but you can use a paint pen or you can just use the paint. Now what I'm gonna do is draw my leaves on. So I like to draw a teardrop shape. That, maybe I'll go over this in paint for you. My marker is dying, with a little pointy edge. So we're gonna go all the way around our painting like that, putting these lovely petals on. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. And I'm gonna actually grab, let me see if I can do it with a brush. My Sharpie is not working out, but what you're gonna wanna do is go around and put all your petals on. So I'm gonna try and do that by hand with some paint. Let's see if I'm successful. Again, use a marker if you so desire, which would probably be the easiest. But I'm gonna go ahead so you can see it better and we can complete this. I'm gonna brush it on with some paint. If you have a thin paintbrush, that'd probably be best, so you could do thinner lines for your leaves. But I'm gonna go down and around. You can make some larger if you'd like, to go with the shape of your canvas. You're gonna come up and just however you want. It's nature, it's plants, so not every petal has to look the same because they don't in real life. We're just gonna go around. And once you get your first set of leaves, or petals, pardon me, petals in, you can go back and put a second row if you so desire. So to put the second row in, we're gonna do the same shape. Let me go around my circle here so you can see that a little bit better. The center of my sunflower. We'll go right around the center of that and redo our center circle here. Just like that. And now I'm gonna go and put petals, another layer of petals, because when you have sunflowers, their petals go on forever, overlapping each other. So if you need to, look up a picture on your search engine for a sunflower, and you can see the shape and design of the petals if you need something to go off of, or you can just freehand it as well. Just add some petals in the background. And then all you have to do in the end is we're just gonna go back, put some accents on our petals. So I'm gonna use my brush tip to make some lines. And I'll go back and put some dots in. Again, if you have different brushes, sometimes it'll work better if you have a finer brush. We're just gonna put some natural lines in our petals. Just like that. And then to finish it off, what they do for the background to really make your tie-dye pop, you're gonna paint the negative space. That is all the area surrounding your artwork that you did not use. So that is gonna be between all the petals in the background. We're gonna paint in black, and that way those petals will really pop out with that tie-dye design. So I'll go in and show you a little bit about that, a little bit of that on mine. Going in between the petals that you've made. And then lastly, what you can do, once you do all your background, you can go in and do the center of your sunflower. You can make some really little dots. As you know, sunflowers have those little seeds in the center of the petals that really pop. They're a different color. They're usually brown, but we can make little stippling marks, which are dots, with our paintbrush to represent those seeds in the center of our sunflower. So just finish up your negative space. And again, use whatever colors you like. I like the traditional rainbow colors of a tie-dye, but if you like a different color tie-dye, go ahead and do that. Let me just paint in my last few spaces here. And then we'll just put the finishing touches on it in the center. And you can use your Sharpie at this time. Mine just decided not to work, so I'm gonna use the end of my paintbrush to make some of those small dots around the center of my sunflower. And that's all there is to it, to do this beautiful tie-dye sunflower technique. It's a great painting. It's super fun. It's easy. And being a flower in nature, nothing is perfect, so you can't mess it up. And it looks beautiful. Oh, I missed a spot. I have to get that. I'm going to paint up here. Cover up my little spot there. There we go. Awesome. Tie-dye painting. Super fun, super beautiful. You can make it for a friend or family. I hope you enjoyed this project today. I will post a video and the instructions if you need it broke down into smaller steps in the comments below. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again.